And I yield now to Ranking Member Raskin for his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the witnesses for appearing today. The purpose of oversight is to collect facts that will allow us to legislate effectively to promote the common good and solve the nation's problems. Today we're looking at the border, but the majority has offered no clarity as to what their solutions are to address what they believe to be the problems with immigration in the border. The existence of a border is not in itself problematic and never has been. Neither is immigration a problem, for we are an immigrant society, except for the descendants of slaves brought here involuntarily, or Native Americans who've been here for millennia. We are all descendants of immigrants. People have wanted to come to America as long as the nation or the idea of the nation has existed, for we are a land premised on opportunity and freedom and dedicated to the proposition that all of us are created equal. When Tom Paine got over here 2 years before the Revolution, he fell in love with the promise of America. He said it would become an asylum to humanity. Not an insane asylum, mind you, but a place of refuge for people fleeing religious, political, and economic persecution. The traditional interest in coming to America has spread, deepened, and intensified recently as political democracy, civil freedom, basic public safety, and meaningful economic opportunity have come under ferocious attack and pressure in nations in our hemisphere like Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, Mexico, and Nicaragua. Our basic problem is a political one. Legal channels of immigration have been choked off in the wake of congressional failure to act in bipartisan fashion on immigration policy. That's despite the fact that we badly need workers in many sectors and many parts of the country to fill the jobs that drive our economy. Under President Biden's economic boom, we are seeing record employment growth and the lowest unemployment rate in more than a half century. Since Biden came into office, America has created millions and millions of new jobs. Multiple reports suggest that creating new legal pathways to citizenship would only enhance our current economic progress by increasing the GDP by up to $1.7 trillion over the next 10 years, raising wages for all and creating hundreds of thousands more new jobs. But this won't be possible without comprehensive immigration reform embodying the kind of progress that the administration and congressional Democrats have been fighting for. The political problem is that when it comes to working out common sense immigration policy solutions, Republicans driven by the extreme MAGA wing of their party have been systematically thwarting and derailing comprehensive efforts to improve our immigration system and strengthen border enforcement. In 2007, Republicans blocked bipartisan legislation which would have significantly increased border enforcement capacity and provided legal status and a pathway to citizenship for approximately 12 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States. In 2013, when Senate Democrats and Republicans again came together to pass a strong, comprehensive immigration reform plan that would have provided unprecedented resources for border security, including 40,000 additional Border Patrol agents, and created a pathway to citizenship for millions of workers, the Republican-controlled House threw a monkey wrench into the bipartisan collaboration and refused to hold a vote. Since then, Democrats have repeatedly developed, proposed, and sometimes passed pragmatic legislative solutions to address border security while providing practical pathways to citizenship for people like the Dreamers, hundreds of thousands of young people brought to American childhood who are now productively engaged in school or work or military service. Such proposals include the parole program that President Biden implemented last month, which has reduced unlawful entries and cut border apprehensions of Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans by 97%. We have proposed aggressive coordination with our allies abroad to block the flow into our country of fentanyl carried by criminals, most of whom are, alas, American citizens. We have advanced policies to promote sustained economic growth and stability throughout Latin America so that desperate people and families do not need to migrate to the southern border in search of a future safe from violent gangs, authoritarian governments, and grinding poverty. The facts show that President Biden and the Democratic Congress surged $7.3 billion in funding and resources to the southern border at the end of last year. In December, Democrats bolstered border security by sending billions to CBP and Border Patrol, including money to hire 300 additional Border Patrol agents, millions of dollars to provide more personnel to our ports of entry, and over $200 million for Between the Ports technology to detect drug smugglers and human traffickers, and overwhelmingly, House Republicans did not support us. Yet rather than work with Democrats on these efforts, the MAGA forces in the GOP have chosen to abandon the strong pro-immigration stance of Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan and instead spread fear about a foreign invasion, dangerous paranoia about the racist and anti-Semitic Great Replacement mythology, and disinformation about fentanyl, the vast majority of which is brought into our country by American smugglers working for the international drug cartels and traveling through lawful ports of entry. In 2021, American citizens accounted for more than 86% of fentanyl trafficking convictions. The radical distortions about immigration, Great Replacement, and who is bringing fentanyl into America may work to rev up the MAGA base, but they do absolutely nothing to solve our real-world problems. The flagship MAGA-driven Republican proposal, H.R. 29, the so-called Border Safety and Security Act, would effectively end the asylum program in America. That's not consistent with the founding values of our nation or the law today, which rejects the idea of returning people who have a well-founded fear of persecution back into the jaws of their oppressors. H.R. 29 is so extreme, some of our Republican colleagues are refusing to support it. One recently called it anti-American and unchristian. Mr. Chairman, there are many things we can do to improve our immigration laws and border enforcement if we set aside the myths and the disinformation. My colleagues and I ardently hope today's hearing will become a chance to search for bipartisan agreement rather than another missed opportunity by committee Republicans to join with us in conducting meaningful oversight towards comprehensive reform. Turning this into more bad political theater will just extend the long pattern of failure on this question. For years, Republicans on this committee refused to conduct oversight of President Trump's disastrous and cruel border policies. They were silent in 2019 when the U.S. Customs and Border Protection declared a humanitarian crisis at the border. They refused to join with Democrats in opposing Orwellian policies that ripped thousands of little children from the arms of their parents and sent them away to vanish into a Kafkaesque bureaucracy. Some may wish we would forget one of the grimmest chapters of any American presidency, but people will not be fooled when MAGA Republicans pretend to cry foul over Secretary Mayorkas's and President Biden's strong actions today to impose order at the border while defending America's deepest values. It doesn't have to be this way. Let's act together in good faith now to pass comprehensive reforms to improve our immigration system. We are a nation of immigrants, and we are a nation of laws, and we can live up to all of our values in this challenge. I look forward to the testimony of our witnesses and the thoughts of our colleagues, and I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and yield back.